whose heart did you get? Were they also an athlete, or was it?
They were an athlete, and so the guy whose heart I got, he was 17 years old. His name was Jonathan Groves. I only learned this 25 years later, by the way, in
Wow.
2011. I knew nothing about him for more than a quarter of a century. And we went back, and so we're going forward now a little bit, right? So fast forward to 2011. And it's been 25 years, and hearts generally last about 10 years, transplanted hearts. So
There's a date on how.
generally speaking, the data says it's about 10 years.
So when you're given this heart, they're saying, hey, we're going to give you another 10 years, but we don't know what's going to happen after that.
That's right. And they can't even guarantee that.
Wow, that's incredible. That's kind of like somebody telling you, hey, by the way, you got 10 years to live, and
That's
make
right.
the best out of it,
That's
because
right.
we can't promise you anything after that.
Right.
Wow.
So I get to 25 years, and I'm like, even for me, right? Pretty cavalier,
Yeah.
move forward, only looking this way. I'm like, holy shit, 25 years. It's a long time to not know whose heart is keeping you alive for the last 25 years. And the reason this happened was because back in the early days, in the 80s and the 90s, they didn't want donor families and recipients to meet,
Why?
because their philosophy was that it would bring up a lot of emotions for the donor family. You know, think of the dad of the poor guy, the poor dad who lost his son, and he has to meet me, and all he can think about is, that's my son inside you. And then you got the other side, right? Is the recipient living a worthy enough life to receive the gift? So there's all these emotions. So for a long time, they wouldn't let, it was prohibited and just discouraged. Well, I'd start seeing things on social media where other people were meeting their donor families. So I'm like, fuck that. 25 years, I'm going to go meet him. I'm going to write a book, and I'm going to end the book by meeting this family.
Wow.
So I found myself in a small town in Wales called Newport, Wales, just outside Cardiff. And I meet this guy named Roger, and Roger is the father. And Roger's he's like every British grandfather ever, right? Charming and warm and loving and dry sense of humor. And so we go to this small town, and Roger shows me his son's Jonathan's the house he grew up in and the school he went to, and took me to his grave site. And then he pulls up to this field, and it's a soccer field. And he walks me down the field, and he says, this is where it happened.
Mate, that's fucking crazy.
Crazy.
That's crazy.
So
It was a footballer
footballer.
who you got his heart.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah. So him and his mates were out playing on Sunday afternoon on July 7th, and he collapsed. He had a brain aneurysm. He essentially died instantly, right? Brain dead.
Yeah.
One of his other mates kept the heart beating on CPR, and I got it.
Wait, I heard about this. What was the name of the road? The
Vancouver Drive.
Dude,
And I'm from Vancouver, right?
so you were given the heart of a footballer who pretty much was kind of the same age as you when you started to have your problems with your heart, and the road of the pitch that it was on was the name of the country, the city that you lived in Canada.
That's right. That's right.
Are you a religious man? Do you
Craziness.
believe in a plan? Do you believe in fate?
I have the word fate tattooed on my back.
I assume that you would, dude. That is nuts.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Everything fit into place. And wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah. So that again, that's 2011. Go back to when I first got it, right? So now like, what am I going to do, right? Broken athlete, used to be a World Cup soccer player. Who cares now, right? What's that kid going to do? And so that's why I say it was bumpy. It was smooth sailing until day 7, because day 7, I'm like, okay, time for me to get back into shape. I'm going to play again. And no, you can imagine, you talked about people around me, right? I had no, like, outward support, My friends didn't really support me. My teammates never supported me. The media, the lawyers, my parents. I mean, nobody was like, "Go,
Let's
Simon,
do it,
go!"
yeah.
Right? And so the guy who transplanted the heart, he said to me, he said, "Simon, the goal for you is to resume the life you led before you were sick. So that's it. Now I've got it in my corner. So now I can play." So that's when it got bumpy. I started arguing with physiotherapists, and they're telling me to step up 2 stairs and sit down, and I'm like, "Fuck that! I
Yeah,
want to
you
get on the
agree,
treadmill.
yeah.
Get out of here. I'm not 62 years old and have heart disease for 30 years. I'm a kid who's an athlete."
Yeah.
So, anyways.